Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is the continuation of my work here at Alive and Thriving. And if this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much for being here. We're going to cover some amazing stuff today. Stuff that has to do with Christ energy, Christ himself, and how the Christ and the potential thereof is unlockable within all of us. So to give everybody a little bit of background, if this is your first time tuning in, the Masters have been living in the Far East for years now. And they are in a mountain village that is about to be attacked by a horde of marauding horsemen. This horde of marauding horsemen has been molesting surrounding villages or villages further down the valley floor from where they are currently at. And the villagers who have been molested have communicated the horde's demands, and they are surrender the treasure which we know you have stored in the temple of the Tau Cross. And here's the situation. The Sojourners, or Baird T. Spalding and his group, the Explorers, they have been living with the Masters, and they've been at the Temple of the Tau Cross. They know there is no treasure there of monetary value. There is a treasure there, it's of spiritual value, but the marauding horsemen don't know that. All they know is they've heard there's a massive treasure located at the Temple of the Tau Cross, and they are demanding that it be turned over. Now, the leader of this band, who is apparently a terrible man, has convinced the rest of the horde that there's actually a treasure there. He actually goes to the village, and he is shown the Temple of the Tau Cross, and he is shown that there is nothing here of monetary value. But he's convinced thousands of marauding, violent horsemen that there is a treasure there. So he decides not to tell the truth. And instead, he continues on in the lie that there's a monetary treasure there. He's too afraid to admit to his horde that it's not there because he's afraid they're going to kill him. So now where we're at in the story is they're on their way. They are riding up the valley floor, and they are going to attack this temple. We secreted our equipment in a nearby crevasse and joined our associate. Then we found shelter in the surrounding crags and rocks where we could observe the movements of the band. As they entered the canyon, the band halted. 50 horsemen rode forward as an advanced guard. Then the whole band moved up the canyon, spurring and lashing their horses into a wild gallop. The clatter and roar of the hooves over the rocky floor, coupled with shouts of defiance, caused an indescribable din. Had it not been so tragic at the time, it would have been awe-inspiring to witness this great body of horsemen sweeping forward. The advanced band of intruders had swept past our position, and those in the lead of the main band were fast approaching. We had turned our field glasses on the little village for the moment and observed that it was panic-stricken. One member of our party working on the ledge stopped work and was watching the advancing band. We saw him turn and look through the door leading to the entrance of the center room of the temple. Our field glasses were all centered upon the figure of Jesus as he advanced through the door and stepped upon the ledge, walking directly to the brink and standing for a moment with body magnificently poised. Now, if this is your first time tuning in and you just heard me say that Jesus just appeared, make no mistake about it. In this series of texts, Baird T. Spalding and his group had regular encounters with Jesus. They even met the Buddha. How is this even possible? Because, and I may lose you here if this is your first time, and I fully accept that, there is no such thing as death to the soul. And every single one of us has an energy frequency about us that is eternal. This physical body is not that which really makes up our identity. The thing which animates your body is part and parcel of that source energy. It is very easy for someone who has overcome death, the death of the physical body, who now lives in tune, in harmony with their eternal identity. It's easy for them to manifest at will at any given period in Earth time, or for that matter, on any planet throughout the cosmos, because they have now married their physical identity, what one thinks of themselves, otherwise known as an ego, with their eternal identity, which is the one constant, which is the eternal thing. It is the thing that you will continue to be after the cessation of the physical body, lest one unlocks the sciences which grant thine eternal life. Ask yourself this, if whether or not this has ever happened to you. You've had thoughts that you necessarily weren't thinking before, and they inspired you to action, or they inspired you to say the right thing to the right person at the right time. Have you ever been in a situation like that? I think we all have, where you just knew exactly what to say at the right time, and it all came out in such a manner that it was believable, it was clear, it was coherent, and it was convincing. That type of stuff takes place for people all of the time. And it happens regularly when I'm producing these videos or talking with friends and family members about things which are important to me. It is as though divine intelligence begins to feed thoughts to me, and then I assemble them into English, which then gets heard by those who are around. Think about it. Inspired thought or word are but two examples of a source connection. There are many more. People report a heightened sense of connection while creating art, definitely while creating music, and especially during the art of meditation. And that's kind of the beauty of channeling. That's kind of the beauty of communicating on behalf of divine intelligence, or allowing for divine intelligence to communicate through you. That's probably a more appropriate way to speak about the phenomenon, which is inspired word, inspired thought. So in this, it makes no difference to me personally whether or not Baird T. Spalding lived out these experiences. However, he goes into such detail that I don't doubt that he lived these experiences, or whether or not this was just divinely inspired communication, which then he penned into books, because the message is so good. The message is so pure. And as we're about to hear, through Jesus speaking, through Baird T. Spalding, it's why these books have become a spiritual classic, why they are over 100 years old and still published, still reprinted, and still widely read today. The light. As I stand alone in your great silence, God, my Father, in the midst of me there blazes a pure light, and it fills every atom of my whole being with its great radiance. Life, love, strength, purity, beauty, perfection stand forth in all dominion within me. As I gaze into the very heart of this light, I see another light, liquid, soft, golden white, and radiantly luminous, absorbing, mothering, and giving forth the caressing fire of the greater light. Now I know that I am God and one with my Father's whole universe. I whisper to God my Father, and I am undisturbed. Still in the silence. Yet in this complete silence, there exists God's greatest activity. Again, I am undisturbed, and complete silence is all about me. Now, the radiance of this light spreads to God's vast universe, and everywhere I know, there is God's conscious life. Again, I say fearlessly, I am God. I am silent, and I am unafraid. I lift the Christ high within me, and I sing God's praise. In the tones of my music, inspiration hums. Louder and louder within me, the great mother sings of new life. Louder and clearer, with each new day, inspiration is lifting my conscious thought until it is attuned to God's rhythm. Again, I lift the Christ high, and I give close ear that I may hear the glad music. My keynote is harmony, and the theme of my song is God, and God seals my song as truth. Behold, I am born anew, a Christ is here. I am free with the great light of your Spirit. God, my Father, your seal is placed upon my forehead. I accept. I hold your light high, God, my Father. Again, I accept. As Jesus ceased speaking, a dazzling ray of pure white light shot out from the center of the solar part of his body. This beam of light extended down the canyon some distance to where the gorge made an abrupt left turn, just ahead of the place where the advancing group of horsemen were riding. At the point where this light beam terminated, a great barrier like a stone wall seemed to rise instantly, and great darts that appeared like flaming arrows shot out from this barrier. The advancing horses stopped so suddenly in their mad forward dash that they unseated a number of their riders. Many of them paused for a moment with their heads and forefeet in the air, then turned and bolted down the canyon completely out of control. When they reached the advancing ranks of the main band, those riders that had not been unseated attempted to control their horses, but to no avail. These, as well as the riderless horses, plunged on and into the front ranks of the moving band. Here, the movements of the front ranks were checked, while the ranks in the rear, not realizing their danger, came on and surged over those in advance, until the canyon below us was a seething mass of men and horses. The chapter ends with the masters, Baird and his group, and the villagers providing care to all of the wounded horsemen. Now, the leader of the group becomes an agent for good and works to convince many of these wounded horsemen to accept the care from the masters. And folks, the moral of this chapter at the end is that a life lived steeped in fear, perversion, warfare, and violence warps a person's psychology to the point that they fear the outstretched hand of kindness. It also gives instruction for how one who has lived such a life, wronging others, may make amends with
themselves in where ultimately source resides. And it is done by highlighting the life of the leader of the group post-battle. The Black Bandit, as they call him, dedicates the rest of his life to being an armed military escort for pilgrims, sojourners, and journeyers throughout the region, free of charge for the rest of his life.
If you are committing violence against other people to take what they have, it's coming out of fear that you can't get it in any other way for yourself. So, you resort to the thing that you know, which is take by force. And then, when you are genuinely stopped because you can go no further down that path before destroying yourself, you are so far down that path that someone holding out a hand in genuine concern and regard for your well-being is viewed as the enemy. That's how warped a psychology becomes when it subjects itself to fear and perversion and violence over a prolonged period of time.
Now, folks, this is where Alive and Thriving does what, in some regards, might be its most important work. I now marry cultural and political issues which have the potential to be detrimental to a Christian mindset, an individual practitioner, or a Christian society, or a liberty-loving society, and marry those issues with the wisdom that we are picking up during our graduate level Christian studies. I then offer commentary, analysis, and comparison before rounding it out with prayers, conclusions, or insights for how we might move forward.
I pray that we as a society react toward the individuals who have been implicated in the Obamagate, the Spygate, and all of the other legitimate political scandals. My prayer is that we react to them, or we respond. We don't react, we respond to them with the same type of care that Jesus gives to everyone, that the masters of this book series give to people who intend on doing them harm, and who would harm them if given the chance. That is the true mark of a Christian society. And the whole purpose of Alive and Thriving is to bring about graduate level understanding of what Christianity can ultimately do for you in your life. This is not a dogmatic or legalistic or ritualistic platform at Alive and Thriving. This is a platform in which it is my mission, it is my service unto others to bring about graduate level understanding of the Christian faith. Because what we are talking about here is something entirely new, yet as old as the cosmos itself. And it's new because we forget the message of Christ through the game of telephone over the years. And it takes world redeemers, it takes books, it takes divinely inspired communications to remind us of the very, very simple truth at the core of a religion. And in Christianity's sake, the very simple truth at the core of the religion is that you have the ability to ignite or enlighten your Christ energy signature and then be exactly as Christ. Not be Christ, but be the energy signature which is vibrationally equivalent to the energy signature of Christ energy. The only way to get to that understanding that you are also able, that you are also synonymous with the frequency of love, also known as Christ, is to be more loving and raise our consciousnesses. When Christ Jesus was doing his works on the planet Earth, he was synonymous with this energy. And it's why it's had such a lasting impact on our collective psyche. This is the same type of impact that you can have on your life. And then you'll be a blessing to everyone around you, and you'll have an impact on their lives and society. And they will know that you are Christian by your love. Christ energy is the vibrational equivalent to love. It is the thing that God, quote unquote, created. Consciousness and love. And from those things, you have everything. Everything that exists is a byproduct of consciousness and love. They are a match made in heaven, literally. There's a literal match made in heaven. And by marrying those two, you become a blessing unto humanity. And it all begins here, with hearing this message, and then the work takes place inside. It is up to us in our own lives to marry the knowledge that we pick up through our life experiences with the knowledge presented to us by said life experiences and through these great texts and through people who are sojourning, picking up this knowledge and passing it along, to do something with it. And the way that I see it, the only thing to be done with it is to be more loving and raise our consciousnesses. Until we can't be any more loving or raise them any further. At which point we'll be given a new roadmap by the Creator. But that's where we're at now. We are here to pick up these pieces so that we can learn to be more loving through the process of raising our consciousness. And when we raise our consciousness, we will be more loving. They take place hand in hand. It's a synergistic endeavor. You be more loving, your consciousness gets more refined. You refine your consciousness, you become more loving. Folks, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to my message today. This is Nathaniel J. with Alive and Thriving, and we are here to create graduate level Christians.